I've liked the previous work from Baroness. I think they're a good rock band that blends in sludge elements, stoner elements, even a lot of like heavy psych at times and metal. For me, their last album, Purple, was their best yet, and I think it was a big highlight for 2015 and just rock music in general over the past few years for me. And so far, Golden Grey has just not had that same reception at all. Not even in comparison to their last album, but just in comparison to their entire discography. It's getting so much panning at this point that maybe my review just won't even add to the conversation in comparison to what everyone else is already saying, because what people are saying is kind of right, I think. I will get to the second biggest issue with this album that I have eventually, but the number one issue for me is just how boring this entire album is. Like, you've got a few good tracks at the start, in fact some really good tracks at the start, but then for friggin' 45 minutes or so, there is just nothing going on. It just drags on and on and on, and not that an hour-long album is a bad thing. Just because it's an hour long doesn't mean that it can't be, or it's too long for an album. Like, that's not true at all, but this album just does not justify it at all. Like, an hour isn't even that long. Like, it's not even that long in comparison to some albums out there that are like at least 2 hours or some that go beyond that. But like, this just feels like it's going on forever. I'm just waiting for something to happen, but like nothing really ever does. For me, it's just basically the same track repeated over and over again. Like, Broken Halo just sounds like any Baroness song, to be honest. Like, even you could slot this into any of their albums prior to this one, and maybe it wouldn't be like a stronger song for them, but it pretty much is just what they're doing over and over. It's just been done poorly. Like, there's just nothing exciting going on here. These tracks don't have much oomph to them, and I think it is because of my second biggest issue that I said I'd get onto, and that's just the way this album is mixed and produced. Throughout all of these songs, the guitars just sound squashed. Like, they're just not breaking through to create any melody. Just the way the drums and the guitars sound together is just so flat. And it's not like the biggest issue for me is the drumming, because although at times it does sound very flat, it's the guitars. It just really is the guitars. They just sound washed away, and it just makes for a really stiff sound throughout the entire thing. I mean, the drums are bloody flat on the last track though. Holy shit. Pale Sun has no momentum to it whatsoever. It is one of the least satisfying closing tracks I think you will hear all year. But these are just issues I just don't think I've ever come across throughout their albums, unless I'm just missing something, or if I went back then maybe I would notice them more. But it really just does feel like a massive dip in quality since their last one. Like, I just don't remember hearing any of this on Purple. The vocals certainly soar at points, like especially on I'm Already Gone. The chorus on this one is pretty friggin' great. Like, I am impressed with what they're doing here. It just has such an anthemic feel to it that I think that they nail so well throughout their albums, and it's just a shame that it doesn't come often on this album, really. Borderlines kind of gets there, I guess. It's not a bad track, but it once again just needs a tidy up completely. And not that a rough sound can't help an album. You know, sometimes like the rougher quality can really help the band's sound. Like, I know that band Ken Mode, that last album, I actually liked more than most people seem to. Like, that just has such like a rough and gruff sound to it that just works so well in their favour, and yet Baroness just aren't nailing it at all. On Cold-Blooded Angels, they are trying something quite different with how his vocals end up taking like the front seat throughout the whole of the song, but it is just dull. Like, I'm ready to skip this one every time. I'm just not feeling it at all. I'm not feeling an urgency. I'm not feeling any kind of passion coming through. It just drags on. And that's pretty much the summary of this album. It is just a drag. Not that production is the be-all end-all, as I already said. Like, sometimes it can work in the band's favour, but Baroness just just aren't hitting it here. They just they're missing something. Something is gone from their sound, and it desperately needs to come back. I suppose that's as much as I can say for this album, because I feel like all the reviews will end up echoing the same thoughts, and I just don't want to bore people with the same opinion over and over again. But I do think the track Seasons is one highlight on the album, though, where the guitar work just shines, like it really breaks through, and there's some really lovely playing on that track, but it just doesn't translate to every other song, which is a huge shame for me. This album basically starts off pretty well and then just takes a huge nosedive once you get past track 3, honestly. I'm going to go 4.5 out of 10. I think this is pretty bad overall. Not the worst thing I've heard all year, nowhere near. But it's a disappointing album for sure. Let me know your thoughts on this one. I think there'll be some people out there that are avidly defending this, and I want to hear that. I want to hear what people love about this album. But if you agree or disagree, then let me know. That'd be great. Thank you for watching my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day, and goodbye.